Rudy Gobert could have 10.5 rebounds.
He's a shell of himself.
You're a shell of yourself.
They're going to win the World Series this year. First time since 1991.
Jabron, you ignorant schmuck.
And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. You know what that stands for? Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Class, and joined by
Jabron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, we talk a little Olympics, and I'm sure we'll get back to the Olympics. That's just too much fun. International flavor there. Some money being poured into some of these books.
Yeah, let's go.
But we also have another huge event happening across the pond in Manchester, UK. That is UFC 304.
304, baby.
Another loaded card.
It is.
I mean,
it's awesome.
This thing is crazy. And it's so full. We're actually going to start in the prelims here. And we got to talk about another fan favorite, especially with the UK meatball Molly McCann.
Yeah.
And she's a heavy favorite over Bruna, Brasil.
Yeah.
Young lady out of Brazil, but she is, she's a long shot here. Plus 285. Get back to Meatball. She's a minus 360 favorite.
Yeah, Andy. And Bruna Brazil's, the only thing I will say about her, Andy, is that her grappling skills are superior to Molly McCann's. Mm-hmm. So this is why Meatball Molly mustn't let her opponent get close.
Get her on the ground.
She needs to go hard at her with her striking and look for a quick knockout. Not only is Molly a proficient kickboxer, but Brazil just doesn't have too strong of a chin, Andy. Yeah. So the evidence being that 3 of her 4 career losses have happened by KO/TKO. So the value bet that I'm looking at, Andy, right now, because you're not getting much value on the money line here.
No.
Outright. So Molly McCann to win by KO, TKO, or DQ is at a plus 200, which I believe is very good value of something that probably is going to happen. I believe Molly's going to put on a show for Manchester and really put it to Bruna Brazil and knock her out. So I believe plus 200 is a very good straight across bet for that.
The hometown favorite, it's going to be lit, just like it was, what was that, a year ago?
In London.
Yeah, Fight Night in London, where it was kind of her coming out party there.
For sure.
Dave Portnoy was there, the whole 9 yards.
Barstool athlete.
Yep. And it does feel like these two fighters are, as of recently, kind of going in different directions. Molly is coming off of a win.
Yeah.
Brazil's coming off of a loss.
Yeah.
And it just feels like you mentioned, they might be serving one up here for old Meatball.
I really do believe so, Andy, and I've been watching Embedded all week. They've been following Meatball Molly around. She just has this energy about her in her hometown, showing murals of her and Paddy everywhere. It's awesome. She has her own restaurant and all that kind of stuff, showing fans. I believe she's going to be ready for this fight, and I believe she's going to knock her out. Plus 200, Molly Meatball to win by KO.
All right, should we move up to the main card?
Let's do it.
We're going to start with the featherweight bout here.
Yeah.
We have the number 6 contender in the world.
Yeah.
Arnold Allen A squared is your favorite at 230, 238, 235, depending where you're looking, against Giga Chikadze out of Georgia. But he is your 10th ranked contender in this featherweight class, but he is your plus 200 underdog.
Yeah, Andy, and, a lot of people are, that I've been talking to are scratching their heads why Arnold Allen would be the favorite coming off 2 losses. Look at who he's fought, Andy. One was maybe the best boxer in all of UFC, Max Holloway, blessed. And then Evlov is his last loss.
He's just beating everybody.
With 2 of the best fighters in the UFC, you really can't do any, and neither one of them could knock this guy out, Andy. Both of them were decisions. Both if you can go 5 rounds with Max Holloway, you are a very good fighter, and he did that down in Kansas City.
The highlight couldn't even go 5 rounds.
The highlight couldn't even do it. He's a little bit different style of fighter than Arnold Allen. But
he did go 4 rounds and 4 minutes and 59 seconds.
He's the heavy favorite, Andy, despite the fact that he back-to-back losses. Looking at Allen to win, I think it's the right play here. Allen has held his own when it comes to striking and has an edge in grappling compared to Chikadze. For that reason, backing Allen to win I'm full across for it. I believe Arnold Allen wins this one very easily.
It's not too juicy for you at minus 230?
No, and that's what I was going to say. This is a very good parlay piece for anybody looking to throw 2 or 3 fights in with a little, cushion there, because I believe this is definitely going to happen. So if you pair this with Molly McCann, a plus 200 and a minus 330, or wherever you can find it, I believe that's a pretty good parlay starter pack anyways.
There we go. Yeah, that's just 2 legs. We might get some a little stretched out there.
On there.
A little foreshadowing there.
Yeah.
All right, should we move on up the card to the middleweight?
Let's do it.
We got Gregory Rodrigues, another guy out of Brazil, but he is your 120, 150 underdog to Christian Leroy. Duncan, another hometown favorite. He is your minus 140 favorite.
Yeah, all these guys are favored for some reason, Andy. No, Duncan comes into this fight with an MMA record of 10-1, and he's 3-1 in the UFC. Duncan is averaging 5.96 significant strikes per minute, and he has a striking accuracy of 62%, which is awesome.
Yeah.
He is absorbing 3.82 strikes and has a striking defense of 50%. His grappling has not been as good, Andy, but averaging just 0.4 takedowns per every 15 minutes. Duncan has a takedown accuracy of just 14% and takedown defense of a way better 50%. Okay. So Duncan is moderate size favor here in this fight, and he looks to be on the right side to back here. I believe he should win this fight. While Duncan's striking and grappling is not as strong as Rodrigues, his defense and accuracy is much better. That's what I like about this fight.
I mean, and Duncan is just so much bigger and heavier.
Yeah.
I wonder what their walking weight, everyday weight is, because they weighed in at Rodrigues at 185, Duncan at 197. And I bet Duncan had to cut weight to get here, and I'm sure Rodrigues cut a little weight too. So, I mean, you're talking about one dude that's just much bigger than the other here.
Yeah, it seems that Duncan walks around, like you said, at a way, heavier weight.
205,
and
210.
Rodrigues is just kind of staying what he is, maybe cut a little bit. But the thing about Duncan is he has a higher finish rate, Andy, as well, having won all of his UFC fights by KO. Because of this, backing Duncan is the way to go. I'm looking right now, Andy, on method of victory, and Duncan to win by KOs at a plus 140. That could be a very good parlay piece as well, Andy. That is the most likely outcome of this fight is Christian Leroy Duncan wins by knockout. Plus 140. I believe it's a very, very good play.
All right. Well, it looks to me like the only way Rodrigues could pull this victory off is if he can get him to the ground, if he can get this into a wrestling match.
Yeah.
But you got to think that's the scouting report everybody's looking at, including Leroy Duncan in his camp. There's no way that they're going to allow Rodrigues to turn this into a wrestling match.
No, I agree, Andy. And what should have stood out to folks when I was doing my kind of rundown there is the takedown defense of 50%. Yeah. And that's going to be even more amped up for this fight because Christian Leroy Duncan, like you said, in camp, that's all he's been talking about is takedown defense, takedown defense, takedown defense. And when I get my shot, put him to sleep. So that is what is probably going to happen, most likely outcome. And I believe the plus 140 for the knockout is the best value play that you're going to get on this particular fight.
Yeah, I think this one goes along with a lot of the other the previous two fights. We just don't want to overthink it.
No, you really can't
lean
overthink
into the
it.
strengths here.
Yeah, you just don't overthink this, Andy. Another thing that I want to point out on these fight lines, all three of them, Andy, is that the over/under for these fight rounds for this Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Rodrigues is just 1.5. So the over is at minus 145. The under is at plus 114. Christian could get him early, Andy, and really knock him out in the first round, which you would get that value of the plus 114. Yeah. So I believe that's the way I would go is under on 1.5 rounds. For Molly McCann, Andy, a lot of people are going on that over 2.5 rounds. I believe that should be an under. I believe she's going to come out as really fired up.
Because that's only going to be 3 rounds.
It's only a 3-round fight. Yeah. So I believe under 2.5 rounds is the play there. That's a plus 114 on DraftKings as well. So I am backing the under on that fight as well. On the Arnold Allen fight, it's over 2.5 rounds at a minus 238. They believe Arnold Allen is
Yeah.
going to string that along, which I believe
That's what he's done.
that is what he's done. So you have to look at method of victory for Arnold Allen as well, Andy, and that would go along with decision as at a -110, which would probably be your best value
is
play
nice. Yep.
because he is probably going to win by decision with nothing crazy going on with a KO or a submission on either side. So that's the way I would go with betting those rounds, and that's the way I would go with the decision. The decision for Arnold Allen, the knockout by Molly McCann, and the knockout by Christian Leroy Duncan.
No doubt about that last one there. Christian Leroy Duncan just pulled it up here. Wins 80%. 80% of his fights by KO or TKO.
Yeah.
And Rodrigues on the other side, he wins nearly 70% of his fights by KO or TKO.
It's gonna
you can't beat it.
It's going to be a really good fight, Andy.
One way or the other.
One way or the other, but I believe that the hometown boy will get it done. Christian Leroy Duncan by KO plus 140, I believe, is the play.
All righty, Mr. Parlay Pounder. You got to have a parlay play for us.
Well, I do, Andy. And I just gave you 3 pieces, maybe 4, that you can mix and match there, Andy. But I'm going to wait until we get further into this main card to give it to the people. You have to stick around for the second round of fights here to see what I'm going to do. I'm doing a 3-teamer. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say right now. Mr. Paddy the Batty might be involved.
a little pat of the body,
yeah.
Huh? All right, well, let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Stock and Rod Company, an outdoor lifestyle brand for those seeking adventure. Whether it's hunting, fishing, hiking, they got you covered. Visit stockandrod.com to get your wild game on. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, A&D Klassen, joined by
Jabron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
And we only got halfway through the spectacle. The betting spectacle, the wager, worldwide wagering that is UFC 304.
Yep.
It's so big that they don't got one main event. They got 2 main events. Co-main events.
2 belts on the line. This is going to be awesome.
And we're that's where we're starting. We're starting right on the main card here. But we're going to start with a lightweight bout. A young man from England.
Yeah.
You know, going to be a huge hometown favorite here. But he's not your betting favorite.
No, he is not.
That is Paddy the Batty is your underdog to Bobby King Green.
Yep.
Green has been he's -120, -130 is your favorite. But I was just looking at his overall record. It's insane, like 32-15.
Yeah.
This dude's been around.
He has been,
Andy. For a long, long time. But here we are at UFC 304, and he is your favorite against an up-and-comer, kind of a fan favorite, who is coming off of a win.
Yeah, for sure, Andy. Paddy is a controversial fan favorite, like you just said. Love him or hate him, up-and-comer. Because of all the drama, it's easy for Paddy to, simultaneously be overrated by his fans and underrated by the haters.
Yeah.
In truth, he's an excellent grappler, solid wrestler, and dangerous but flawed kickboxer, Andy.
He's in better shape than he was.
No doubt. He's taking it a lot more serious, and he has to because he's getting into ranked fights. Yeah. This could skyrocket him into the top 15, which is a huge thing for him. The ideal circumstance for Paddy here, Andy, is to gain top position, but I'm not sure he'll be able to do so without, first scoring a knockout. So his takedowns are straightforward in most base with, his great athleticism and technical transition. Yeah. The type of takedowns Green typically slides away from with relative ease. Yeah, so this is this is a very hard thing for Paddy to do. If Pimblett can hurt this man first. However, it is likely that he can get on top and dominate him. So that is what I think is going to happen. He's going to get him with one of these kicks. He's going to hurt him, and then he's going to be able to get on top of him and dominate this fight, Andy. Yeah. That's why I think the value play of Paddy to win by submission is such good value here, Andy, at plus 450. I believe it's a very likely thing to happen.
Wow.
to get him down, to get Bobby scrambling, and then I just don't believe his wrestling is on par with Paddy, and Paddy's going to find his way to make this guy tap. I know that Bobby King Green is a very tough guy, but if he hurts him and gets on top of him, I don't believe he has much of a chance.
Yeah, then it's over. And you make a great point there, because King Green, his average fight time is over 11 minutes, well, about 11 and a half minutes per fight, meaning he does stretch him out, and there's not too many times that he's getting KO'd or he TKOs or KOs his opposition.
Yeah.
He stretches these fights out, but I do believe Paddy's going to want to put on a show in front of that home crowd.
No doubt about it, Andy. And I do generally believe, Andy, as I'm sitting here, that Green, to be the much better fighter right now, at one point back in 2014, King was ranked in the top 5, Andy, and likely a single win away from the title. But, however, it's undeniable that these two are moving in different directions. Green has already reached his peak and slowly falling down the ladder. Like I said, he's in top 5. Now he's down to 15, whereas Paddy is on the rise. They are serving this one up for him in Manchester, in his hometown. I believe that Paddy's going to win this fight. So if you don't feel like he can get that submission, there's still great value in picking Paddy at that plus 110 right now, money line. So I love this fight. And like you said, Andy, betting rounds is a good way to go about this fight as well. Over 2.5 is at minus 150 right now.
Like that.
I believe, like you said, this could get stretched out, especially if Paddy hurts him early and just does top control. But I do believe the best value play for this is for Paddy to win by submission.
I like that too, and we've seen him do that so many times before. Yeah, that's really a strong suit. All right, shall we move on up the card?
Let's get into these championship fights, Andy. I am ready.
The heavyweight title belt is on the line. Tom Aspinall. Heavy favorite, 350 favorite, minus 350 favorite over Curtis Blaydes, the American, one of the few Americans on this card. You know, we're going across the pond here, but Blaydes, I feel like he's one of those heavyweights that everyone kind of, respects and loves and talk, but you lose sight of him. You forget about him.
You really do, Andy. He's one of those guys that's just, he's there. He's one of the best. Everybody knows it. Really nice guy.
Number 4 contender in the world.
Really nice guy. One of the only heavyweights that is a very good grappler, very good wrestler. So this is not a walk in the park for interim champion Tom Aspinall.
No, it's not.
But this is right in his backyard. He, like I was saying, I was watching Embedded this morning, and Tom Aspinall is 20 minutes away from the venue. He is in his backyard. He loves it. And Aspinall is an overwhelming favorite, Andy, but I believe I'm going to get into the rounds here, Andy. And just to start, the fight to start round 2 is at a minus 110, and I believe it is one of the best
just to get
straight across bets.
So
that you
over
can
one
get.
round, over one round,
Andy. Just as this goes, Blaydes has seen 8 of his last 10 enter at least round 2. Both fighters certainly have the power to end this fight quickly, but seeing that neither fighter has lost much by finish, backing that fight to enter round 2, I think is the best bet of the fight.
There was so much talk and so much written about Tom Aspinall being injured and his injury status, and that's really cooled off the past couple of weeks. Where are we at with that? He's okay. He's 100%. What's going on here?
He is. He's 100%. He's saying he's best shape of his life. Obviously, you're going to say that going into a title defense in your hometown, in front of your home crowd. Another thing just backing Tom Aspinall to win by KO, I just don't see the value in it. It's at minus 175 to win by KO.
Yeah. Well, he wins 80% of his fights by KO.
Exactly, Andy. So just the only value bet that I could make, Andy, is Curtis Blaydes winning this fight by decision, somehow getting the decision over Tom Aspinall.
It's happened.
That would mean that this fight goes the distance, which I believe it will not.
No way.
But Curtis Blaydes to win by decision at a plus 1,000, I believe it's the only value bet in the entire thing. I believe that starting round 2 is my best bet. But I do believe Tom Aspinall knocks him out and retains the championship here.
It does feel like Aspinall is on another level right now. He just keeps going up and up the ranks, and that's why he's holding the belt right now. It's an interim belt, but he's going to have it out right here.
No doubt.
If he just plays his cards right. And to your point about going over a round, his average fight time over his entire UFC career, and granted he's 14-3 overall.
Exactly.
Is 2 minutes, 10 seconds.
Yeah, no doubt.
I feel like if this gets into like round 3, Tom's going to be like, well, we got to do something here.
We got to do something. No, this will be bad for Tom if it does go longer than what we're saying here, Andy. But no, like you said, Tom Aspinall only seen one of his UFC fights make it out. Make it to the second round, which is nuts. I just believe Curtis Blaydes is going to keep that distance at least for that first round before Tom starts closing the gap on him. So that is my only bet that I'm looking at, other than might throw a little money on Curtis Blaydes just because I don't think Tom is. I believe he's very, very good, Andy, but I don't believe he's head and shoulders above the rest of the competition, especially a seasoned fighter like Curtis Blaydes.
He has been getting a lot of publicity that kind of leads you to believe that, but come on, Curtis Blaydes actually has him on reach, and I thought maybe Tom would have a little bit of an edge there. He does not.
He does not.
All right, should we move on up to the main
event? Let's go.
One of my favorites ever since we started this show.
Yeah.
Leon Edwards is your belt holder. He is the champion of the welterweight division, taking on Belal Muhammad, who is your number 2 contender in the world. This is the second time now that these two have squared off. The first time Leon got the better of Muhammad. That's why he is your minus 250 consensus favorite. Yeah. And I think that all adds up to me. I think Edwards should be your minus 250 favorite.
Like you said, the first fight, Edwards versus Muhammad, was right before Edwards fought Nate Diaz. It ended in the second round for an eye poke. Muhammad could not go on. He lost his eye pretty much. I don't know how he got it fixed or whatever. Yeah, he's back. But no, I believe it was just what was going to happen. Yeah. I do believe, Andy, that this fight probably goes the distance. So one of my best bets for this is for the over on rounds, which is at over 4.5, but that's all the way down at a minus 220, Andy. So it doesn't have much value, but I do believe it is the most likely outcome for this fight. Yep. I do believe Rocky, a.k.a. Leon Edwards, is going to win this fight. I think he's going to win it by a landslide, but it's just like Leon does it. He's just going to put the clamps on him. Yeah. Kind of, he's just a better fighter. He's just a better overall fighter.
Going to get his back and take it to the mat. Muhammad, he's not that bad of a grappler either, so he'll oblige. He'll go. And Muhammad actually wins 74% of his fights by decision.
No doubt.
I mean, he's good at grappling. He's good at extending fights as well. So, I don't want to call it a snoozer, but it does feel like these two are just going to really be measured in their attacks, and it's probably going to get to the mat.
No, it's a lot like what you thought Leon versus Usman would be. Just a wrestling match, both of them on the ground the entire time. Obviously, that first fight went crazy when he got that head kick right at the end, but Edwards and Muhammad have both seen 8 of their last 10 UFC fights go the distance. Therefore, backing the same here would be the lean at minus 200 for that fight to go the distance. I believe is the best thing you can do in this fight.
Both of these fellows are like mirror images of each other. They both weighed in at 170. Edwards 6 foot, Muhammad 5'11. Both guys 22-3, 23-3. Both guys coming off a win. This deserves to be the title matchup here. The main event card. Yeah, and the belt's on the line.
Belt's on the line. I mean, so you have to.
I just feel like there's no way I could see myself betting Muhammad at a plus 205, but usually that plus 200 bet, I'm thinking there's got to be some good value there, but I just don't feel it in this one at all.
I just don't feel it, and I know it feels like we're just going down the list here, Andy, and picking every person from England, but they kind of do this in the UFC.
They do.
When they have a pay-per-view in Brazil. Yep. In Las Vegas, in Abu Dhabi, they try to get their guys in there that are from the area, from Australia when it's in Perth and all that kind of stuff. They try to line their guys up in favorable matchups. Yeah. I believe this is what's going on. I believe Belal Muhammad is a talker. I do not believe he should be number 2 in welterweight, and I believe Leon Edwards is going to show him.
Well, all righty, Mr. Parlay Powder. Now, let's get into that parlay play.
Yeah, Andy, you can, like I said, those first plays that we're talking about in the original segment here, Andy, are all good pieces, and I'm taking 2 of those into account right now.
Okay.
The first one is Christian Leroy Duncan, plus 140. for the knockout. I believe that is going to happen. The second one, Arnold Allen, money line, minus 230. I believe that is a lock. And then what we just talked about, Leon Edwards, Belal Muhammad, over 4.5 rounds, minus 220, Andy. You put all three of these together for a plus 400 parlay. You put $25 on that to receive 125.
There we go. See, you got that one little plus money bet in there. Jack that whole thing up to a plus 400.
And I love it. Christian Leroy Duncan is knocking this guy out, Andy. Gregory Rodrigues stands no chance. Then, like I said, Arnold Allen money line is a lock. Minus 230, and then over 4.5 rounds for Leon Edwards and Belal Muhammad, minus 220. All three together, plus 425 to win 125.
You heard it. You heard it from the Parlay Pounder, folks. There it is. UFC 304, and that is your parlay play from WTL.
Yes.
Take a quick minute here to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. World class in every glass. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL.